Some shoots give you footage, and some shoots give you perspective. This was one of those shoots. As filmmakers, we spend so much of time obsessing over cameras, lenses, lighting setups, color grading, that sometimes we forget why we started telling stories in the first place. And then life sends you somewhere that quietly changes you. For me, that place was Atithi, Maharashtra. Hi, I'm Sarthak. I'm a filmmaker and I run a production company. And today, I want to talk about one of the most emotionally grounding shoots I've ever been a part of. A campaign we shot for UNICEF Maharashtra and Fountainhead Solution Private Limited. The campaign was called BALA, Building as a Learning Aid. And honestly, before this project, I thought this was just another documentary assignment. I couldn't have been more wrong. Sometimes you travel to shoot a story and come back realizing the story was actually about your own privilege. We traveled to Atithi in Maharashtra to document how old Anganwadis were being transformed into spaces that were more inclusive, more functional, and more human. And what struck me immediately was this. These weren't just infrastructure changes. They were dignity changes. Earlier, many of these Anganwadis had almost no privacy. Imagine this. Women coming in for gynecological checkups, while children sat nearby trying to study. Separated only by a curtain. That was normal. And sitting there, hearing this, something inside me shifted. Because for so many of us living in cities, basic dignity has become invisible. We don't think about access to toilets, or healthcare, or privacy, because we've never had to fight for it. But now, these spaces were being redesigned. Separate rooms for health checkups, child-accessible washrooms, classrooms designed to stimulate learning, larger windows to make children feel more open and more connected to the world outside. Even the window grills had been transformed into abacuses. So the building itself becomes part of the child's education. And as a filmmaker, I found that incredibly beautiful. Because storytelling exists in architecture too. The strongest stories are not always written in scripts. Sometimes they're built into walls. But the moment that truly stayed with me happened on the very first day. When we arrived at the Anganwadi, the teachers and the students welcomed us in a way I still struggle to describe. It wasn't performative. It wasn't formal. It was pure warmth. The kind that overwhelms you quietly. And I remember standing there thinking, we came here to document their lives. They were the ones making us feel seen. As filmmakers, you enter places with cameras all the time. But very rarely do people open their hearts to you this way. And over those 3 days of shooting, I kept feeling smaller and smaller in the best possible way. Because every conversation, every smile, every act of kindness kept reminding me how privileged my life has been. Privilege becomes invisible until life places you in a room where people have learned to smile with far less. I think that's what grassroots filmmaking does to you. It removes noise. In cities, we complain constantly. Slow internet, traffic, deadlines, convenience. But then you travel somewhere where basic facilities themselves are a luxury. And suddenly, your perspective changes. Not through guilt, through gratitude. And honestly, I truly understood the meaning of Atithi, Devo, Bhava during this shoot. Because despite having so little compared to what urban life offers, the generosity people carried within them was enormous. And that stayed with me. Still does. I went there carrying cameras. I came back carrying perspective. I think that's the beautiful thing about filmmaking. Sometimes the camera is recording the world, and sometimes the world is quietly reshaping the person behind the camera. And this shoot did exactly that for me. We started this project documenting transformed buildings, but somewhere along the way, I think it transformed something inside me too.